Hello and welcome to my channel. I am Zodiac Bandit, and today we're going to be recapping episode 113 of Campaign 3 of Critical Role. So, without further ado, let's get into it. We start with Vox Machina. The group is now back together after getting through to Scanlan. They finish up with their hug, and Scanlan tells the Silver Saddles that he has to leave. The Saddles are upset by this, but they understand. The Saddles elect that they're going to keep going on their trek across Wildmount, and they will tell Scanlan of their adventure and give him some gifts or show him some things that they get along the way. The Saddles all say their goodbyes to Scanlan. Drangel says goodbye to the rest of the party as well, and the Saddles then take off, leaving Vox Machina in this open valley alone. The party asks if Scanlan is going to stay as a centaur, and he says that it was a pretty big spell and doesn't want to waste it, but also it makes him feel better about himself. The party talk about how he's supposed to go to the washroom like this for way too long. Vex is worried about how well he'll be able to stealth around. They try to test it out, so Scanlan rolls a stealth roll. He rolls an 8, which is not any worse or any better than what Scanlan would do regularly. The party can hear him trying to hide, so they just drop the subject for now. They say that they'll get him some shoes. Grog says that he can actually make him some shoes. The party wonder if they should go to Vasselheim or go straight to the Hellcatch Valley. Keyleth remembers that the entire army is waiting in Vasselheim, and they'll be starting from there and jump to the Hellcatch. She opens a tree again, and she goes back to Vasselheim through the Birth Heart. There's a few hours before daybreak, so they can go rest up if they need. They see that there is some movement of the army going about. They see the shadows of the sky ships up above. They have some time to kill, and Grog takes out some leather off of a dead leg that's in the bag of holding, and he's going to use the leather to make shoes. They all head to their chambers to rest up. Keyleth then goes to Percy and Vex's room. Keyleth asks if they are sure that they want to do this fight. They have the most to lose, and so do their kids. Vex says that 10 years ago, she wouldn't be fighting. But Vesper is almost 30 now. They're all older. Keyleth just wants to make sure that they aren't being selfish and asking them to fight. Percy says if something were to happen to them, their kids will be taken care of. Hopefully by Keyleth and their other friends. But she'll be around for many generations of their family to guide them if need be. So hopefully she'll do it. Keyleth hugs them. Percy says that they all have responsibilities, not as many as her, but they understand the risk. Vex takes out Trinket and says that he'll be spending the night with Keyleth because Keyleth says that she was feeling rather down and she hasn't had people to be around with lately. Vex says that they'll make it through this and save Vax. Keyleth hasn't wanted to really think about him much as he's still bound to the matron, so she's not very hopeful that once they free him, he'll be able to do whatever he wants. Both Vex and Percy are hopeful that he might be freed from the matron after all of this is done, for various different reasons. Keyleth heads to bed with Trinket. Percy and Vex lock the door and decide that, they're going to have some fun because there aren't any kids around, and that's been a while since they've had that situation. Scanlan heads to Pike's room, but before he gets there, Sir Kronos fills him in on the things that are going on. And then Sir Kronos, as the two of them split up, Sir Kronos watches Scanlan go to Pike's room and gets excited when Pike answers the door and lets him in. She lets Scanlan in, and Grog is also in the room, but he is sleeping. Scanlan apologizes for not reaching out to Pike earlier. Pike says that he doesn't owe her anything like that. They aren't together. She isn't owed any details about what he's doing in his life, including other people, if that's the case. Scanlan asks if she's found anyone, and Pike says yes, but it's very, very casual. Pike says their kids are doing great, and she asks how Kaylee is doing. Scanlan says that she's doing good as well. He gets a check every month from her. Pike asks where Scanlan's going to be sleeping. He says he doesn't know, and with his current form, it might be difficult. But Pike offers the extra bed in the room, as there's 3 beds in this room, and Grog can fit on one, so could he. He takes her offer, especially as Grog's bed is in between their 2 beds. Pike asks how he's doing, and he says that he misses her from time to time. Grog makes a sad noise, which means that he's been listening this whole time and pretending to be asleep. Pike asks if Scanlan is ready for this, and he says he thinks so and asks about her. She says that she feels tired and old, but she should be fine and they should go to bed. They all then go to bed. Pike gives a little last prayer to the Everlight to be with them and to help them on this fight. They rest up for the night and they all wake up in the early morning. There's tension in the air as the army is getting ready. Travis decided to roll the Chetney death dice and actually rolled the number he would need to kill off Chetney. Great sign for things to come. Luckily, that wasn't a roll for Chetney. Chetney's okay. The party see that the streets are currently alive with preparation, various troops from all around Exandria getting ready. Holy warriors walking between encampments giving prayers as they go. The townsfolk are watching and seeing off their family and friends. Vex sees that her father's forces are here as well, Singorn. They see the banners of many familiar countries. The Kryn dynasty warriors are all getting ready, and the Bright Queen walking past the group nodding as she goes. Vex wants to speak to the Whitestone Pale Guards. There's about 6 of them here, roughly spread out across the place, so Percy and Vex go and do so. Keyleth then gets a message that the leaders are gathering, and the party go up to the top, or head towards the Platinum Sanctuary with her. They watch as a brass dragon flies overhead towards the Platinum Sanctuary and is going to make it there before them. The party then see that the soldiers of Ank'Harel are here as well. They see the flag of the Stratos throne, and they also see banners, twin banners, of Ashianador. 2 factions that, not long ago, were at war with each other and are now allies. People gather at the base of the Platinum Sanctuary. Keyleth knows that there will be many gates that open up that go straight to the Hellcatch Valley from the western wall, so people are slowly starting to make their way there. The party see that the signal fire, or the signal flames, of Vasselheim is green, which is supposed to signify unity. Various leaders meet at the stairs of the Platinum Sanctuary. Earth Ashari members make a 20-foot platform, make a platform 25 feet up to have sort of as a speaking area. The party now see the various leadership here. There's the Clovis Concord, Dundalian Empire, the Lyrangorn, their Council of Taldor is here as well, and many others gather at the base of this platform. The brass dragon is on top of the platform. Whispers begin to start in the crowd before someone speaks. Liev Tell and the other dark representatives of the Mage and the Raven step forward towards the party, and then Liam joins the table. Liev Tell steps forward. Her face has not changed since the last time the Vox Machina crew has seen her years ago. She greets Vox Machina and Serkonos. She asks if they are prepared for this journey. The party say yes, and she asks if she can join them on this fight. Vex tries to inform Liev Tell of Bertrand Bell, but she actually already knew. She saw him in her dreams. Liev Tell says that her god won't abide by the pain of the champion any longer, and the party welcome her to their group once again. Vex and Keyleth ask if Liev knows how to release Vax, and Liev simply says that they will break his bonds and the Raven will be set free. The party note that she doesn't really state any plan, and they don't really have a plan either. Liev Tell then says that she'll rely on them to get her close, and then her lady will lend a hand. The party then hear hundreds of marching feet as many of the different holy warriors emerge around them on this or near the platform. They see many incredible warriors, including Judicators. I fucking love the fact that at the beginning of this campaign, the party, well, the Bell's Hells were like afraid of the Judicators and they were very much like against the party. And now these Judicators, these like creatures, are on their side. I think that's badass and really fun, like the whole switch up of everything. And then the High Hierophant, Ophira, steps forward. She gives a speech saying that the world, shaped by the gods, now stands together. The gods have given them many gifts and shown them many paths. Today the people can rise and protect those who protected them many times before. They go to war for the future of Exandria, and they are all holy warriors this day. Bring that light to your destiny. They will be watching. Suddenly, golden doors of light open and a bunch of Celestials step through them. There is now an army of Celestials here to aid. Allies from realms beyond to aid the day. She then gestures for someone else to speak. Keel takes the opportunity and steps up. She sees the entire world before her, the army of Exandria and those from beyond. Vex then flies up on her broom to meet Keyleth's eyes and tells her just to talk to her, but, they just meet each other's eyes and they're gonna, find comfort there. Keyleth says, Exandria, once again, we stand united against an existential threat. United again as we have many times before, against beasts and behemoths, demons and demigods. And once again we will overcome this pervasive play for unjustified power. For Exandria does not belong to a single entity, or individuals, or even an entire council of gods. Exandria belongs to us, and once again we will reclaim that ownership of Exandria. And lastly she says, fuck shit up. Vox Machina yell back at her, and her words begin to echo out to everyone else, and a cheer and a war cry begins to echo back towards her. Allura smiles. Off in the distance, a single raven looks at Keyleth and then flies off. She uses her inspirational leader feat to give 20 temporary HP to the party. Soldiers are then slowly moving westward towards the western wall. The party asks Leah Tell to cast Hero's Feast for them. They eventually changed this, that they had Hero's Feast the night before, and Leah Tell had her own separate little one. Vex decides to fly over to the Temple of the Dawnfather. She flies to the bell at the top of the temple. She asks to bring that big dick energy, as she puts it, and says that she has his back and she wants him to have hers. Once she finishes her prayer, the clouds begin to part and a beam of light touches her face. She sees this as a potential answer to her prayer. They then see a silver dragon join the forces westward. Serkonos sees the Arashari are getting ready. Allura joins them for a little bit and tells them that they'll have a ship that they'll be traveling on. They have to wait about 5 minutes before their portal will open up after like the ground forces go in. And they'll be dropped off in the center of the fighting after the main forces of the Malleus Key are drawn away from their main army. Vex questions being dropped off in the middle of everything. It didn't go well for Keyleth last time, but Allura says that there are mages that will help them land, so they shouldn't take too much damage on the way down. Vex wonders if she should leave Trinket behind, and Grog suggests asking him himself. She pops him out of his little Pokeball, and Vex asks if he wants to join her in the battle. They might be able to help Vax out. Trinket asks if it's dangerous. By the way, she casts Speak with Animals before talking to him. Vex says yes, it will be dangerous, and Trinket simply says that he has to protect her. Vex says that they'll protect each other, and he goes back into the ball. The party have a bit of time to kill before they need to head out. Like I mentioned before, they did the Hero's Feast last night, so they get 15 hit points added to their max hit points. Scanlan goes to Serkonos and asks about his interaction with Leah Tell. Serkonos says that she's very pretty, and that he thinks he blew his chances with her. Scanlan says that blowing the first impression is fine. He'll have more chances to make a good impression on her and to do something cool later. He suggests Serkonos, actually do something cool in a fight or at some point later. Serkonos says that he can prepare his coolest spell for her. Scanlan tells him to pick one thing about her and to compliment it. Serkonos will think about which thing he'll have to compliment. They then head towards the front line. They prepare themselves mentally for the fight. Two figures approach them. One is a short-haired, red-bearded man with simple robes on. It's Seth Domade, which is just Essek in disguise. We all know this. He asks Keyleth if the Mighty Nine have made it to the moon, and Keyleth says yes, they've made it to where they're supposed to be. Or at least they've head off to where they're supposed to be. He says that's all he needed to know. Vex asks if he's helping on the front lines. He says no, he'll be helping in his own way, though. Keyleth asks him if something is bothering him, and he says that he's just fond of the Mighty Nine and wants to make sure that they're okay. Insight check from Keyleth, she gets a dirty 20. He seems genuinely nervous about them. He thanks her for giving him that little peace of mind, and then introduces a warrior from the Kryn dynasty. It's Varen Thalis, Essek's brother. This is a character who we didn't meet in Campaign 2, but we were close to, according to Matt, during the Campaign 2 wrap-up. Matt's literal description of him is he's like the himbo of the Thalis family, which is kind of funny. So I've been looking forward to meeting this character for a while, and I'm glad we finally did. Hopefully he makes it through this. They see a dark elf with long white hair and very broad shoulders. He seems to be very lithe, though, which is kind of funny. He holds a massive glaive in his hands. He says that he'll be on the Kryn Dynasty ship, or one of them, and he just wanted to meet them so that they are face-to-face and they know who their ally is. He says it's an honor to fight alongside them. Keyleth says it back to him, and Varen then looks to Keyleth and asks her to sign a poetry book for him. It was a gift he got when he was much younger, and he's cherished it ever since. Serkonos also signs it. She signs it for him, noting that she didn't write it, but he says that's fine. He's from the culture. He thanks them, and then leaves. Seth then leaves very quickly thereafter, and gets a little frustrated with Varen for that display. He's a little embarrassed. Allura then rushes back up to the party, and she tells him that the others are now in position. Keyleth says that it's time to go, and Allura sends up a flare into the air, and horns begin to sound off. Soldiers line up at markers, and Allura leads the party to a skyship. Vex asks Percy if this is the right choice, and Percy simply says that they did well with their kids, so it is the right choice. Grog then hands Scanlan his leather boots that he made, and they're expertly made. Keep in mind, Grog is a cobbler. That was literally a part of his backstory. Percy goes to Keyleth and asks if there's anyone who knows her better than he knows her. She says at one point that was probably true, but who knows anymore. He says that he'll follow her lead to the ends of the world if he has to, and then hands her a flask, and they take a sip each. Leovtel tells Vex and Keyleth that her lady has given her glimpses of the champion. Though the future is unwritten, there is still hope, and with the word hope, she casts Power Word Fortify on them. She divides 120 temporary HP between the two of them, so they each get 60. She then casts Death Ward on them, so there goes my fucking prediction for Vex dying. She then casts Power Word Fortify on herself to give herself an extra 120 temporary hit points. She then takes Serkonos' arm, and they start to head into the ship. Serkonos does his best and casts Goodberry for her. She takes them and says that he's a beautiful boy. Keep in mind, she is much older than Serkonos is. They are guided into the front of the ship. Allura introduces them to the mages who will help them land, and they see their captain is Captain Xandis. They say that they are legends, and today they'll themselves become a legend as they're taken to the place where they last crashed their skyship. The party, very much like Xandis. Xandis says that they should get comfy. It'll be a short but bumpy ride. Horns begin blaring again, and the signal flares, or the signal fires of Whitestone, turn white. Hundreds of gates begin to open up towards the Hellcatch Valley. The soldiers and angels go through these on the wall, the western wall. Then a massive gate opens up about 120 feet away from the skyship the party is on, and a dust storm is beyond it. Grog steps forward and has a red cape on, flapping in the wind. Leovtel tells Serkonos of the other two parties that she met, and of Bertrand Bell, and wonders where his soul is resting now. Me too. Genuinely. The party watch as the dragons begin to fly through the gate before them, and then the ships move forward and enter the storm. They can see maybe 50 feet beyond their ship. They can't tell where they are at the moment, and suddenly arcane fingers begin to rip the storm away. Interesting. Wonder who did that. They look below and they see the top of the fortress built around the Malleus Key. They see the bright red light of the bridge that lights the entire area, and they can hear combat below. Xandis tells them to hold on. They're going to have to start their decline soon. A massive arc of purple energy begins to shoot towards the ship, but it barely misses. They can see that there are defenses all around the fortress. Xandis tries to evade, dex saves from everybody. Serkonos 27, Keyleth 10, Percy 19, Scanlan natural 1, Grog 33, Pike 13, Vex 18, Leovtel 17. Keyleth and Scanlan almost fall off the ship, but they're grabbed by the other members of the party. The party see that there are 3 very large flying creatures heading towards them. It's creatures they've never seen before, and where their heads would be, there's just stalks with blackened eyes. Vex aims for one of the eyes, and she shoots, and hits with a 28. She then casts Hunter's Mark on it, like just before she shoots, so they're going to add the Hunter's Mark damage for 27 damage on it. She shoots again, but misses. The other 2 fly by and attack. One goes for Grog and attacks for 18 damage. He needs to make a strength save or be grabbed, and he does. He makes the 22. One then attacks Scanlan and hits for 16 damage, and then Scanlan is grabbed and lifted off the ground or the deck of the ship by this creature. Percy, however, takes out his gun and shoots at the one holding Scanlan. Percy hits with a 22, dealing 19 damage, and he makes it a disarming attack. The creature then fails the disarming attack and drops Scanlan. Scanlan is still on the ship. It was kind of quick. Leovtel then uses a channel divinity, Path of the Grave, to curse the creature that was holding Scanlan. Keyleth becomes an air elemental, and she attacks one of them. It fails its saving throw, and it is thrown towards the ground, or towards the deck of the ship, and lands in front of Grog and takes 36 damage from landing, and from just being thrown by the air elemental. Grog then rages and swings his blood axe at this creature. He hits it with a 28, and he hits it again with a 22, dealing 19 and 23 damage respectively, killing this creature. This makes Xandis laugh, as he very much likes how crazy Grog is. The two remaining ones come back for more, but the silver dragon intercepts them, grabbing one of them and knocking the other one out of sight. Crazy. Keyleth looks down and sees more defenses below them. Perception check from her, natural 1, but Vex also looked down and she gets a 30. The fucking spectrum on that one. Vex sees more projectiles coming up into the air, getting thrown towards other skyships, and she sees the red glow of the bridge and the center part of the fortress that they're heading towards. It's hundreds of feet away from them at this point. She sees more sparks coming at the ship. Vex warns Xandis, and Laura rolls for Xandis. He makes a dex save 13, which is better than the 11 from the little electricity spark here. They're able to curve out of the way. More sparks fly up towards a different ship, and one of them hits the brimstones, and the brimstones of that ship go dark. It begins to fall. The party yell at Xandis to help that ship, and they fly towards it. Serkonos and Keyleth are both air elementals, and they fly towards it as well. Serkonos is a more smoky air elemental, as he's a fire Ashari, so gotta have some fire being represented. They fly over to the ship. They see that there are mages trying to start up the brimstone once again, but it's not working. They also see that there are many Kryn warriors on this ship, including Varen. Keyleth and Serkonos try to slow the fall by getting beneath it and pushing with their wind. Vex and Percy try to make a rope bridge to help others cross it so that, they don't all die on the ship. And with insane speed, Vex is able to wrap the rope around the mast of the ship with Varen's help, and quickly ties it to the party's ship. The soldiers then start to move between the two ships. Two sparks then fire towards the ship once again. This time they miss. There's only about 150 feet before they hit the ground. Xandis can barely keep up with the ship that's falling, but the rope has become tight. There's 4 soldiers currently on the rope. Vex grabs Varen, who is still on the ship, and she tries to bring other people across with her broom. Percy and Grog grab the rope in case anyone is about to fall, where it snaps. They're able to pull it towards their ship. Xandis says that they need to pull up soon, and Scanlan then tries to inspire him, and he does so with a very decent song. They are now below the clouds. They can see there's 150 feet between the ground and the cloud or the storm that's happening above them, and they can see the war going on below. All sorts of creatures fighting against their soldiers. They see the orbs are what's shooting these lightning sparks at them, and there's many other cannons all around. This view reminds the party of Hell, because some of them have been to Hell before, and it's the closest thing on Exandria to Hell right now. Xandis tries to pull up with the guidance from Pike and with the inspiration from Scanlan, and he rolls a 32 with the party's help. They slam their ship into the other ship, making the decks connect, and this is able to allow many people from the other ship to jump onto theirs. Vex saves the last person who didn't quite make it before the ship started to separate. She grabs them and pulls them onto her broom. Xandis then pulls away, and the other ship slams into the ground and explodes, crushing many beneath it, whether it be on their side or the enemy's side. Xandis tells them that they're at their drop-off point now, and they need to go, or he'll have a second ship that he has crashed, or they, sorry. Vox Machina then jump off the side. The mages cast their feather falls, and Vex invokes the Dawnfather, and she lights the area up around her. They slowly start to glide towards the ground. Serkonos and Keyleth fly down as elementals. Cannons turn to fire at them. A spark is thrown towards Pike and Grog. Dex saves from the two of them. Pike, natural 20. Grog, 11. Liev then casts Ward of Radiance on the person that she sees within the cannon. And they make a con save and fail, and they take 20 damage and are thrown back a little bit. Grog takes 28 damage from the spark that hit him, and he starts to spin out of control as he falls. Still controlled fall, though. Pike and Grog are going to land a bit off course. Keel tries to push them with the wind, but unfortunately, with an 11, she can't really do much. Pike and Grog are now 2 walls away from the center like they want it to be, and the others see hundreds of soldiers all over the place. Fighting is going on everywhere. Serkonos drops his air elemental form while he's midair and takes his spear and falls towards the enemy near Pike and Grog. He throws his spear, and with a 20, he hits and deals 18 damage with it, and he pins the enemy to the wall. Serkonos then blink steps to his spear as he was falling. Badass. Serkonos is going to be a lot of fun. Percy takes out Bad News as he's on the back of the broom and looks at the cannon trying to find a weak point. He rolls an Arcana check of 18. Vex also making a perception check to look for hidden objects because of one of her abilities. She rolls a 22. Percy sees a marble ball or a marble orb in the cannon that was firing at them. And that's how you fire it. You like hold on to it and you like release it and it shoots out this shot of electricity. He shoots at it and hits the marble with a 34 and deals 18 damage to it, making the orb shatter, and he adds 5 lightning damage to the damage from his cloak. The party head over towards Pike and Grog. They can all see the reformed walls that protect the Malleus Key all around them. All around them is sounds of battle. There's a sick map that Matt pulls out because this thing is glorious. I'm super jealous of it. They've landed near one of this dispel towers. So there's been 2 different types of cannons this entire time. There's been a dispel tower, which is like the thing that turned off the brimstone, and then there's just been like the electricity bolts that have been flying out towards the party. So there's been 2 of those things. They're right next to one of these dispel towers. Keyleth lands and becomes a fire elemental. Vex is on her broom. Percy jumped off her broom and then is now scaling a wall with his boots of climbing, or boots of spider climbing. Scalen is right near Grog as well. Leovtel is behind Grog and Pike, and Serkonos is on top of the wall. He's right next to a Juggernaut fighting a Judicator. Badass. It's time to roll initiative. Vex, natural 20. Scanlan, natural 20. Percy, dirty 20. Grog, 17. Keyleth, 16. Leovtel, 13. Pike, 6. And Serkonos, a 1. Vex is first. She casts Hail of Thorns at 4th level. She activates her blazing bowstring. I almost said something completely different, but it would have been right up Laura Bailey's alley. She uses a sharpshooter with it, and she shoots at the Juggernaut, dealing 35 damage. The Juggernaut must make a dex save. He fails, and the Juggernaut takes 32 damage. There's a bunch of slithers all around this Juggernaut, and they all fail, taking the same damage, 32. She then shoots the same Juggernaut, hitting and dealing 28 more damage. He's looking rough already, because, of course, the level 20 god is beating the shit out of people. Vex then moves towards the wall in case she falls off her broom. That way she has like a footing to land on. Scanlan is up. He runs towards the same Juggernaut that she just beat up. Scanlan sees a couple of allies fighting some Vanguard members nearby. Scanlan then casts reverse gravity on a group of enemies. Everyone fails except for a single individual, and they float up into the air. A large group then dashes towards some Dynasty warriors nearby. They do some mass rolls to like determine who wins these combats. Travis rolls a 9 and Matt rolls a 3. 3 Vanguard soldiers are cut down by the Dynasty warriors. Percy, he then climbs up the rest of the wall, and he's right next to his first Rylauren he's ever seen, which is on the opposite side from Keyleth. Percy attacks with his cane with razor blades on it, which is wild, and he lands a crit, dealing 23 damage with it. Percy then makes a wisdom saving throw. He rolls a 19 and saves. He felt whispers in his brain, but he pushes through. He's already had many whispers in his brain in his past. He's not really concerned by it. He hits again with a 13, or for 13 damage, and he hits a third attack with more. He then stabs his cane into the creature in front of him and pulls the trigger. I guess it's a cane gun. And he makes it a pushing attack. He hits, dealing 8 more damage. The Rylauren then fails the strength saving throw for the pushing attack and is pushed through Keyleth's fire elemental form, and it catches fire. It then also falls off the building, but it's a Rylauren Thought Eater, so it is floating. Because, of course, it's floating. Can't take any more damage. Grog is up. He runs up to the person who saved the gravity, reverse gravity, but as he does, he steps into the area of reverse gravity, but he's able to save, and he swings for the guy who saved against earlier. He hits the first and second attack for 23 and 32 damage respectively. Grog kills him and his body floats up into the air, which is a fucking hilarious visual. Keyleth is up. She deals 7 damage to the Rylauren. She jumps down and then attacks the Rylauren again. That was the 7 damage was the fire damage that it took being pushed through her. She then jumps down and slams the Rylauren Thought Eater. She hits both attacks that she makes with 11 damage and 9 damage respectively, killing the Thought Eater. turning him into a pile of ash. She then looks for any allies nearby, and she sees some Dynasty Warriors. Keyleth then runs towards the Malleus Key, because that's where they're trying to go, and she ends up running through some Vanguard on the way, making them also catch fire. Leovtel is up. She moves up past Pike, and then she uses her bonus action and takes one of her beads and casts Planar Ally, summoning a 3-headed white raven. It's just a diva, or a deva, I forget how you pronounce it, but they've flavored it to look like a 3-headed white raven. It picks her up, and they fly towards the champion, or the Malleus Key, but Liam specifically said champion, so I'm going to say champion too. She then casts Toll the Dead on the injured Juggernaut. He fails the wisdom saving throw and takes 24 damage. This actually kills the Juggernaut. The Raven is now up. It moves another 60 feet and then dashes over towards Keyleth. The Slithers are now up and they swarm Scanlan. One misses, the second one hits, dealing 14 damage, grappling Scanlan. The third and fourth then both miss, but the fifth one hits, dealing 21 more damage, and then the sixth and seventh also miss. So, 7 attacks, only 2 hit. That's pretty good. There's a strange vibration, and the orb from the Dispel Tower begins to glow a bit, and the party can see what looks to be an ancient Ryloran controlling it from somewhere else. The second enemy group go and do nothing as they're in the air, because, reverse gravity is an awesome spell. Keyleth needs to roll to save from reverse gravity as she enters it, and they didn't realize it at first, but she fails, and she's now floating 100 feet in the air as well. Pike is up. She casts Guiding Bolt at 5th level on the Dispel Orb, because it began to glow, and that's concerning. And she hits it and deals 22 damage to it. The orb shimmers for a second. There is some visible damage on it. She then moves towards Scanlan. Sarkonos is up. He yells, "Scanman, no!" and casts Wall of Fire surrounding Scanlan, but making the damage go outwards onto the Slithers. 3 of them fail and die instantly. 3 more fail, but are still alive, and 1 saves completely. Sarkonos then blink steps to Pike. He then drops Wall of Fire because he doesn't want Scanlan to be stuck, and he doesn't want to hurt himself or Pike. Vex is up. She shoots at the orb as well with Sharpshooter, hits with a natural 20, dealing 25 damage. She sees the image of the Rylorans again. It looks at her and says, "You will not interfere." She shoots at it again, dealing 29 more damage, shattering the orb completely. She hears a scream or a yell from the Ryloran, likely one of the Weavemind, after she shatters the orb. She then casts Hunter's Mark on an enemy nearby. She then flies towards the key. Scanlan is up. Scanlan casts Thunder Wave at 2nd level, hitting 2 of these Slithers in front of him. They both fail and are blown away and killed. Scanlan is now free from the grapple. Scanlan then tries to run towards a different group. He drops his reverse gravity, dealing 36 damage to everyone, including Keyleth, but she only takes half because she's resistant to bludgeoning damage, so she took 18. Grog needs to make a dex save as a bunch of bodies begin to fall around him. He makes a 16, avoiding all the bodies. Scanlan then runs toward a group in front of him. The Slithers attack him, but they miss with their attacks after he uses Cutting Words. He then moves all the way up towards the other enemy group. He sees a bunch of Vanguard rush in from around a corner, and a cleric is casting a spell. But at this moment, the ground shakes, and the Vanguard soldiers are then thrown into the air as a Vidalch bursts out from the ground. These might be one of the coolest fucking minis of all time. A second Vidalch then bursts out from the ground on the other side. There's 2 of them. They're awesome. They're badass. And it decides to just kill another Vanguard member, which is friendly fire. The second one then moves up to Grog and attacks, but misses the first attack and hits the second. Hits the second, and the third attack hits as well for 13 damage total. They look cool, but I guess they don't do too much, especially when you resist their kind of damage. The other one then hits Pike for 6 damage, because she also that same one who hit Grog then hits Pike for 6 damage, because she's also resistant to the damage type. This Vidalch then sprays a cone attack at Sarkonos and Pike. This is where the damage really comes in. Sarkonos and Pike both fail, and they both take 24 damage. It would be a ton of damage for earlier levels, I guess. The other Vidalch then attacks Keyleth. It hits Keyleth for 32 damage from its attacks, and 23 damage from the acid from its bite attack. It then sprays at Keyleth and Leovtel, Keyleth saves with a natural 20. She takes 28 damage. The Raven saves as well. However, Liv Tell takes 56 damage as she failed. Keyleth loses her elemental form and takes 3 damage in her base form. Percy is up. He tries to understand what this thing is, but has no idea. He has never seen something like this before. He starts moving towards the key and jumps down off the wall. And then he jumps down again off the different level. He is now on the ground. He then shoots at the Vanguard right near him for 14 damage. His gun then misfires on the second shot. He then has to take one of his actions to fix it, and then he rolls a 25 to fix it. He shoots it again, hitting for 15 damage, killing the Vanguard member. Grog is up. He jumps up to the top of the Vidalch. He attacks the Vidalch, and he hits with both of his attacks, a 28 on the first attack and a 42 on the second. Travis's turns are just so much more simple, I swear. Keyleth is up. She casts Firestorm, covering a large portion of the field. She deals 48 damage to those who fail. The Vidalch fails and takes 48 damage. Everyone else that she hits, except for one guy, a single Shrike, save. And she hits 3 Kryn warriors because she wasn't quite sure who the enemies were over there. Killing them instantly, by the way. She then takes her Earth Elemental form and she glides underneath the ground. However, in doing so, the Vidalch is able to make an attack and hits her for 14 damage and 23 acid damage because it was a bite attack. She then glides underneath the Vidalch to the other side of where it would be. She doesn't come out of the ground. Suddenly, devils appear and Opal is with them. She has 6 arms. Great. The devils start to attack some of the Vidalches. We're not told the damage. Opal attacks one of the Vidalches, only hitting 1 time for 14 damage. Liv Tell is up. She holds her action to cast Bless until she's in range of Keyleth and Opal. The Raven then moves into range and she casts the spell on herself and the 2 others that I mentioned before. Some Rylorans are now up and they try to pull Grog off psychically from the Vidalch. He saves, because of course he does, he's incredibly strong. But Grog is then hit with a dagger from range for 2 damage. A Juggernaut then jumps on top of the Vidalch to start to fight Grog. The Juggernaut attacks Grog and hits with all 3 of his attacks for 15 damage total, and Grog decides to use his reaction to retaliate with 28 damage. So in 1 attack, Grog did more than 3. Crazy. A different Juggernaut then kills 3 Kryn warriors nearby. Pike is up. She casts Guiding Bolt once again on the Vidalch, hitting it for 31 damage. Some Slithers are now up and they surround Pike. All the Slivers miss her attack because her armor is just too much for them to handle. Serkonos is up. He takes his Fire Elemental form, which is a little bit bigger than Keyleth's Fire Elemental form because he's the Fire Ashari guy. He then moves into the Vidalch, making it take some damage as he just passively sits there. He then gets attacked by some Vanguards as he moves out of range, but only takes 2 damage. Vex is up. She shoots the guy with Hunter's Mark. She hits, dealing 41 damage, killing him. She then moves the Hunter's Mark to the Vidalch, and she shoots it for 29 more damage as well. She then flies over towards the other Vidalch to aid the others. Scanlan is up. He moves behind the Juggernaut and casts Lightning Bolt on it and the Vidalch that's within range. He deals 28 damage to those who fail, and they both fail. Scanlan then runs away from the Juggernaut, who misses their opportunity attack. Suddenly, a brass dragon flies overhead and uses their breath weapon. A devil is hit in the process, and the Vidalch is hit, but the devil is fine as it's immune to the fire damage, and the Vidalch looks very much hurt from this dragon's breath. The dragon then flies off and begins to clear out more enemies that are trying to get near the party. Percy is up. He uses his entire turn to move towards the Malleus Key. The Vidalch is up. The Vidalches are up. One of them hits Grog for 6, and then it turns and swings for Pike, also dealing 6 damage. But then on its 4th attack, which is its bite attack, it deals 14 damage, piercing, and then 21 damage, acid damage. Grog uses Sentinel to attack the Vidalch and killing it. We're not told the damage. I think it was just low enough to where it was going to die. The other one then gets its spray attack back, but then it decides to swing for Opal and the devil nearby it, dealing some damage that we're not told. It then sprays its spray attack on Liv Tell. Liv saves. The Raven fails, so it takes 21 damage, and I assume Liv Tell takes 10. Grog is up. He swings for the Juggernaut. He swings for the Juggernaut in front of him. dealing 33 damage, killing the Juggernaut. Grog then jumps off the Ryloran towards the ground and swings for it, dealing 38 damage with the hit, splitting this thing in half as he falls. Very, very familiar death there, Grog, or kill there, Grog. Grog then starts running towards the key as well. Keyleth is up. From below the ground, she casts Call Lightning. Striking the Vidulch, it fails and takes 27 damage. She then glides towards the key. The Shrike then leaps down and attacks a Kryn warrior. The Shrike unfortunately kills the warrior. More Vanguard then appear. The Devils are up. One of them tells Pike to go. They then take out some of these slithers near around Pike. The other attacks one of the Vanguard members that appeared very recently. Opal then attacks the other Vidulch, killing the monster. She then tells the party to go. With their allies blocking the enemy behind them, they start moving towards the red glow of the Malleus Key. As they go, another Vidulch tries to stop them, but a Manticore jumps on it and takes the heat from the party, or from it off the party. That Manticore, by the way, is 1000% Archon's Manticore, which means Archon is somewhere nearby, which means there's some potential for Archon to show up in the final fight, which needs to happen. The party make their way to an open ruin where they see the bloody bridge in all its horrible glory. Before them, many soldiers are emerging from the bridge, and here is where the session ends. So there you have it, episode 113 of Campaign 3 of Critical Role. This was awesome. I fucking love this episode. This was so much fun. I love that we're getting more than like one episode or like 1.5 episodes dedicated to Vox Machina. Hopefully the Mighty Nine get the same sort of treatment. Very, very much enjoy seeing this sort of thing happen, because it means that, you know, it makes it feel like that, you know, we've spent a lot of time with these characters, because in real life a ton of time is passing. So it's very much a lot of fun for us to just experience these characters, and I'm very much enjoying seeing their character stuff, their characters develop a little bit. Even though they're already well-established characters, it's nice to see them doing more stuff with these really well-established characters. So it's been a lot of fun. I like that this episode didn't really include like too much, you know, like repeating themselves of the plan they've heard a million times, which is an issue they've done a handful of times over like the longer breaks, where when they come back after having some time off, they then have to repeat the plan again and again, but they've seemingly not done that today, which was awesome and badass. So again, very much enjoyed every aspect of this episode. The fight was awesome. The implication that Archon's there is really, 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 really fucking cool for me. I love Archon. Joe Manganiello is awesome. So hopefully, I don't think it's going to happen, but I can dream. I'm a dreamer. Who knows? But that would be awesome to eventually see. But yeah. Overall, very much loved this episode. My question is, because I have two questions now, and literally nothing to do with the campaign. This is more so just like channel stuff. Should I change next episode's thumbnail to Vox Machina? Because right now it's the Mighty Nine. Well, technically the thumbnail is Mighty Nine, and the opening for this was Mighty Nine, but I've then made a Vox Machina like image for you guys to look at, because why wouldn't I make a Vox Machina image? Because it's Vox Machina, I should. So realistically, should I make the thumbnail next week Vox Machina? That's my question. Also, there was someone who asked in my last video if I could make like a reaction video to some stuff. I recorded my reaction thinking this was going to be the episode where they do the big fight against Ozo Kruth. It hasn't happened yet, so I will be recording my reactions for the next one, because that way, you know, I can maybe potentially make a reactions video. It'll just be my voice though, and I'll like try to like sync up the clips. I don't have a camera, but you know, if you're interested in that, let me know, because then I would definitely want to do it more. If it's not just one person who wants to see it and a bunch of people want to like, you know, hear my reactions to these big fights, these big campaign 3 ending fights. But anyway, with that all out of the way, I would love to know your answers to those questions, and I will see you guys on Tuesday for whatever video I make next. Peace.